Does it make sense for me to sell my property and incur a seller's stamp duty? Or should I wait until the full 3 years is over to sell it? Let's see a real case study. Welcome back to Let's Be Real. Before we see if it makes sense for you to sell during the SSD period, we need to understand what exactly is seller's stamp duty. Introduced in 2010, SSD is the tax payable on residential properties sold within a holding period of 3 years. And the holding period typically starts from the date of acceptance of the OTP or the date of signing the SMP. From 11 March 2017 onwards, if you sell your residential property within 1 year from purchase, you will incur a 12% SSD tax based on your selling price or valuation, whichever that is higher. Between 1 to 2 years, a 8% tax, and between 2 to 3 years, a 4% tax. So question, does it make sense for you to sell within this holding period? You might need to fork out hundreds of thousands. Today, we will be exploring this topic because I've met quite a few sellers recently that due to unfortunate reasons or the fact that there is an upcoming development in the area they prefer, they might need to explore selling their property before the end of 3 years. Yes, for those contemplating their sale of the property, the notion of incurring the SSD may be daunting. If you're selling a 1 million property that you just purchased last month, you will incur 120,000 SSD. If you're selling a 2 million property that you purchased last month, you will incur 240,000 SSD. However, to sell or not to sell has got a lot to do with the reason of selling and also on the potential of upcoming investment opportunities. Strategic planning can help transform this perceived obstacle into a stepping stone for greater financial or investment gains. Let's look at this case study together. Mr. Glenn bought a 3-bedder resale condo at Hougang. The resale condo was bought on 23rd April 2021. He wished to sell and upgrade after the SSD liability period and move closer to his workplace at Great World City or town area. His SSD liability will end on 23rd April 2004. However, just 2 weeks ago, he spotted a really good opportunity to enter into this particular core central area development. A prime District 10 condo, super near to his workplace, and he can even walk over, and is close to many amenities, and the PSF is so close to the newer launches in the extreme west. So naturally to him, this is a great opportunity. However, he wants to know if it makes sense to sell now instead of waiting until next year. So let's dive in. He bought his place at 1.175 million, and the current market value of his property is around 1.22 million. Let's say if he sells today at 1.22 million, he will need to pay a SSD of 4% of 1.22 million, which works out to be $48,800. To him, this looks like a hefty sum at first. And the unit he's interested in is in Jervois Treasure, a freehold development in Tanglin area, core central area, which already obtained TOP and he can stay immediately. A 2-bedder plus study asking around 2,500 PSF, approximately $2 million. Now let's look at this graph. The average PSF in core central area as of Q3 2023 is already at 3,005. The average PSF in the rest of central area, Toa Payoh, Kallang, Queenstown, Dakota, Bishan and the likes, is already at 2,526. This is literally a prime estate at rest of central region price, which is really attractive to Mr. Glenn. So now let's see. If he buys into Jervois Treasures at 2,500 plus PSF, now, that's about 500 PSF lower than the current average in the same region. So let's say the unit he's looking at is about 797 square feet. Just by these few years down the road, if Mr. Glenn decides to sell this unit at the current 3,005 average PSF, he would have made around 398,500 already. Even if the owners at the surrounding projects take a loss and sell their unit at 2,800 PSF, Mr. Glenn will still have a safety net of about 300 PSF. And that is a potential upside of 239,000. So now let's weigh the options for Mr. Glenn. Sell now, pay 48,800 SSD, but get to buy in a development which is convenient to him and also with the potential upside of close to 300 to 400,000. Or wait a few more months to avoid paying the 48,800 but might miss out on this opportunity and therefore might have to spend an average of 3,000 PSF on another property in District 10. Now, if you have watched my previous video on CCR, you might have seen this graph. This is the estimated developer's break-even cost and estimated selling price in the future for CCR. Most already crossed the mid 3,500 plus PSF range, which further secure Mr. Glenn's move. So in summary, it's really case by case. If you play your cards right, the profit you might make from this current sale can also totally cover that SSD fee. Selling your property with SSD doesn't have to be a drag. It can be your ticket or launching pad to a whole new world of possibilities. Of course, if your property is worth $4 million and is within your first year, your SSD is $480,000 and this might not make so much of a sense. So if you want to do a detailed analysis based on your own case study, please reach out to me. Till then, do remember to like, share and subscribe. Let's be real.